Yeah.
Okay. Okay, welcome to episode one of Megan Chan Studios. And my first guest today is Summer. And my first question for Summer is who is Summer and why do you do what you do?
Oh, Summer, who is she? I love that. I'm a cosmic guide, cosmic leader, I like to call myself. But first of all, before all that, before we put the labels on, I like to actually state that I'm actually a child of God because that is my truest essence. I believe that that is everyone's truest essence. And what I do is simply live out God's divine will for me. And what that looks like is guiding other soul and humans back to their soul's purpose through astrology, human design, and gene keys.
Okay, great. And what exactly, I've heard of human design, and what about gene keys? I've not heard of it before. So how would you describe that?
Yeah, so so gene keys is actually just a derivative of human design. I would say human design is more of a masculine tool to, 'cause for me, they're all languages of awareness, tools of awareness of coming back home to yourself and your truest essence of how God created you to be. So human design is, as you know, is a combination of five different systems. So you've got astrology, Chinese I Ching, Kabbalah tree of life, Hindu chakra system, and quantum physics. And again, that's more of like showing you how you need to operate in your physical human body. And then because there are 64 gates in the human design, the guy that transmitted Gene Keys, he actually learned human design first and taught it for about 7 to 10 years. Don't quote me on the number. But essentially, after when you decondition after 7 years, doing your human design, you basically become a clear vessel to channel source. So then he was able to channel archetypes for the 64 gates, which he called the gene keys. So there's 64 gene keys. And this is more of a deeper dive into your DNA, ancestral lineage, and esoteric wisdom, ancient wisdom, to really embody the 64 gates. Well, you have 11 different um, spheres in your gene keys to activate your gifts, your purpose to receive more love and prosperity. But the gene keys is basically more a feminine embodiment tool versus human design being masculine, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. And one of the things is, so what inspired you to start your business and how has that inspiration evolved over time?
So I personally feel like I've been somewhat of an entrepreneur since I was 21, like getting into network marketing and sales and marketing. But I never, so always like initiated doing my own thing because I wanted that freedom. I'm pretty sure everyone resonates with wanting to find freedom in their lives and not be stuck in that, indoctrinated way of having to go to a 9 to 5 and earn an income and slave, your life away. And I actually started a lot of different things as my 3-6 human design profile lines. If you know anything about third line, it's all about experimenting, trial and erroring with a lot of things in your life and for your first 30 years before you essentially, after you've experimented with everything, you really recognize what you truly lights you up and what you truly feel called to and passionate about. And so I've always known, even though I've tried a lot of different things in my life, I've always known I've always come back to personal spiritual development and understanding higher consciousness. And the way that I perceive astrology, human design, and gene keys is just a blueprint, consciousness based, sorry, it's a map of consciousness. And you're able to again see yourself clearly through this map and through this lens of the stars and the planets, etc. And so I felt like definitely in the last year, through my own personal trauma and transformation, I had to really surrender to God's will, because my personal belief is that God created all of this. Like, yeah, sure, someone channeled this, but at the end of the day, it comes straight from source, and everything that exists in our reality is from God. So, in reality, although God made us in the likeness and image of Him in terms of being able to create and manifest things on our lives, the truth is that this map actually tells us a story and it's like God's story. So, how are you playing that character in his story? And how are you playing that out? Because if you're not playing to the true character of what he created you to be, then that's how you're out of alignment. So, my passion is bringing people back to that core essence of what God made you to be, because the more that you're out of alignment, the harder it is to truly see yourself as a child of God. So for me, it's always just coming back to God.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, something that I wanted to ask a bit further with um, going back into who you, like how your childhood was and transcending ancestral trauma, or however you would like to describe it, using your own words, your journey going through that. Yeah.
So you want me to share my story, my trauma?
Just a little bit about whatever feels comfortable for you and how that's influenced what you're doing today. How is that? How
Yeah.
you brought in that knowledge and that learning and that growth into your business,
Yeah.
into helping your clients.
Yeah. So again, I feel like there's so many layers to this,
Mm,
but essentially just I personally feel like our soul, each soul that's here on earth, has deliberately chosen certain wounds and challenges that they want to experience in this life and to overcome them and really transcend that lower frequency to a higher frequency. So if you're looking on the plane of frequencies, you know, the lowest would be shame, guilt, apathy, all the way up to the highest being love, unity, peace, joy. And I personally chose to experience the deepest of pain, betrayal, shame, guilt through my trauma, which is essentially sacrificing myself in order to be loved. And how I did that without going too deep and too detailed in the story. I, got an abandonment wound. I felt an abandonment wound from my father when I was 17, and I really wanted to save my parents from their financial crisis, and I ended up prostituting myself for about 5 years on and off. But I did it under the cover, under the table. So I didn't tell a soul, and that just ate away at me, of course. The pain from shame and trauma through sexual experiences with men that obviously just didn't honor me, and vice versa. I didn't honor the masculine. And yeah, I got myself into really tough situations where I didn't want to live. And, I held on to that pain for so long. And at the same time, I knew my soul was calling me to like transmute this pain. And it's taken me, almost 10 years to like really overcome that. And then looking into my gene keys in the last year, basically I went on this healing journey and essentially recovered a cellular memory that I was sexually abused by my father when I was a baby. And that's a whole nother story. Like whether it actually happened or not is a whole different thing. But I recognize that it's not even about what happened to me by my father. It's actually so much deeper in our lineage that I will never be able to see or understand. Because this could have happened to my father, this could have happened to my great grandparents, and so on and so on. It goes so deep down the line. And I recognize that, like, this is not about me. And this is truly, truly about healing the depth of the wound for humanity. And again, that's how it brought me into understanding astrology, human design, and gene keys and seeing what the wounds are and how it ties into actually helping humanity shift out of that lower frequency. Because gene keys, it literally shows you the levels, the shadow frequencies that you're embodying in this lifetime and what you need to do in order to ascend to a higher frequency.
That's awesome. I love that detail, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
So one other thing is next one is about advice for others. Maybe someone right now is listening and they're on this journey of, or they've experienced something similar to yourself. What advice would you give them?
That's a tough one because I personally feel that, I've met actually a lot of women over the past 5 years that have essentially experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
Really deep sexual trauma, betrayal within their family. And you kind of just have to meet them where they're at. You have to meet yourself where you're at. Like you have to know, okay, like what am I willing to heal right now? Because I know my journey. When I told someone about that cellular memory that I recalled, the first thing that they told me was, you need to forgive them. And I was not ready to. Like, you just have to, like, and if, and I was mad, I'm gonna be honest. You actually have to like allow yourself that time to be angry, be resentful, and grieve all of that pain. Um, and really sit with those emotions and allow them to move through you because at the end of the day, it's all energy and frequency, right? It's lodged in your cells, and you actually have to take its time to transcend itself, and at the same time, do the necessary things and use the tools in order for you to feel more alleviated from the pain. So it's like a simultaneous kind of thing, like surrendering, but also doing the work. So my thing is just like, again, coming back into awareness of where you're at and meeting yourself where you're at.
Okay, great. And what are the biggest what are the biggest challenges that you faced in the early stages of your business, and how did you move through that?
I would say I'm still very early in my business.
Okay, well, current stage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's been interesting. It's been really interesting the last couple of weeks how things have unfolded with my personal challenges. Like I said before, I really do feel like we don't actually have any control of how the story goes. And you have to get good at listening and hearing what God's plan is for you because at the end of the day, it's actually his story. And when I say he, I don't actually like identify God as a man. He has no gender. Um, but I, so for me, for example, if I was to let myself, um, if I thought that I was the creator of this reality and I controlled everything, that means I'm doing my business my way, and these are the steps, and this is how I'm going to do it. But the truth is, the reality is, God has already created this business plan for you, and it's going to be way more abundant and way more prosperous than you can ever imagine. It's going to be way more expansive than you can imagine. And if you let your ego get in the way and thinking, okay, I'm the creator, I'm doing this, you're not actually letting the divine work through you. So so my challenge was recently, as you've seen, I just did my Instagram live that I actually wasn't going to share my story about that cellular memory at all for maybe another year because it's technically relatively a fresh wound for me in the last year. And I was afraid. But I knew that like when however God speaks to you in intuition or he drops a message to you. For me, it was like, yeah, I'm a bit claircognizant. So I kind of had that message just come through and was like, okay, you need to speak about this now. Like, this is how you do it. Like, this is the next step. But has no logical sense on like what I perceive as like a successful business and the plan, how it's going to go. But you have to listen to that call and just like allow yourself to surrender to that whilst still putting things in place to like get you moving through with your business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the balance definitely, and listening to those messages.
Yeah.
And what about from, oh, I guess we talked about the spiritual side. So you mentioned that you have that connection with God, and that's how you move through different challenges. How
Hmm.
about like how would you define success, both from a personal level and in your business?
Oh, I love that question. I feel like there's so many ways you could answer that. How do I define success on a personal level? I just feel as long as I'm alive. I know it sounds so simple, but truly, like if you're living and breathing and you're working through the challenges, like that's success. Like you're not wanting to escape this human reality. You're not wanting to kill yourself. And because there was a lot of times in my life where I wanted to do that. Like I just couldn't bear like this human experience. And and like just being grateful that I'm alive, that's success to me. And then on the business side of things, again, success is like just feeling joyful and grateful through every step. Like I'm more than ever, I've been so present in every moment, every day. Like I don't even worry about tomorrow. Like I'm not Christian or anything, I'm not religious, but I did read a passage in the Bible that talks about God's provision for you because that's the truth. Like the truth is that source, divine, God, the universe has your back. He always has provided for you. The fact that you are breathing right now, the fact that he's giving you breath to stay alive, like that is provision. And of course, he's going to provide you money. Of course, he's going to provide you shelter. Of course, he's going to provide you food. Of course, he's going to provide you the pathway and things that come into your life to help you build your business if that's what you truly want and that's what you're being called to. And for me, like success is every day waking up, feeling alive and feeling on purpose and feeling connected to God. Like I think people kind of like have this idea of like what a successful business is, like earning millions of dollars. Like actually, no, it's just being alive and just surrendering to God and allowing him to work through you for the greater of humanity. Because you being of service in every day, just waking up and like whether that's helping your family member or like a stranger or your close friends, like or just your client, like even if it's a small business, like that is huge, and that's success.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, it is so simple. If we could make it simple, and it's such a good feeling. Just
Yeah.
live your life every day being in that energy. Um, and yeah, you mentioned that you talk about God, and but then you say you're not a Christian. So what is your religious, or do you have any religious beliefs at the moment, or maybe you were, or what is it at the moment, and how, if it has
Mm.
changed, how has it changed?
I love this question. I not religious. Um, I never grew up religious either. Like it's so funny because I actually only found out a couple months ago that my dad technically is Christian. He got baptized when he was a kid, but obviously never did anything with it, never spoke a word of it. My mom is like kind of Buddhist. We every time, a grandparent passed away or like that we had their death anniversary, we would have a Buddha in the house. I think it was like Kuan Yin, and we would pray. Um, but again, like I had no awareness or knowledge around any sort of religion until, yeah, I started my spiritual journey. And so my perspective is that everything is God. Like nothing in the universe is not God. From this, the tree outside, from this computer, from everything that exists that we can perceive is God. And so my belief is truly just allowing yourself to see the divinity in everything and knowing that it's all God. And I do believe that all religions in the world do do have a truth to it in a sense that they're all wanting to point back to source and back to oneness. Like I truly believe in the law of one in the universe.
Great. Okay. Yes, I've definitely heard of that. And I wanted to ask about, I think, okay, I think I had a question and then it disappeared. So you mentioned about religion. Okay, let's move on to the one about, so a piece of advice you would give for your 18-year-old self. What would that be?
Oh my goodness. That one's such a deep question for me
Mm,
because okay, so this will actually tie back to Christianity and
yeah.
Christ. So when I was 17, I was super depressed and like didn't want to live. And I remember this is my last year of high school, and I remember um my guidance counselor, she was Christian, but again, I had no awareness of religion, and she gave me a Bible to borrow. He ended up taking it, and but I never read it. I remember bringing it home, and my sister like made fun of me for it, and so like that kind of put some shame on me, and I ended up yeah just putting it away and never looking at it again. But obviously, my soul knew that I needed it one day, and that I'll come back to it. And my belief is that God, so at the time, obviously, I needed to come to Christ in a sense that how I perceive Christ, Jesus' teaching, because Jesus was like a walking, talking embodiment of unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness. Like he was able to forgive and beg for mercy for his murderers while he was on the cross. Like that is the capacity that we have in our hearts to embody. And I believe that that is a true teaching of what he's trying to get us to do. Because of my experience with my father, I had so much resentment. Like there was parts of me, while my conscious mind wanted to forgive, my heart didn't. And the last year has been, again, that renewal and transformation in my heart of being able to forgive my father. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, every day I woke up resenting and having this underlying hatred and being persistent and devoted to understanding what Christ really taught, what Jesus really taught, allowed me to understand that we have Christ consciousness within us that we can activate and embody within our hearts. So again, like tying back when I was 17, depressed, like didn't want to live, like hated life, hated my dad, all the things. Clearly, like God was who the way that God works is obviously he sends the right people into your life at the right time to help you kind of like overcome your challenges. But if you're not open to listening, then he'll do it again in a different way. So because I ignored the call, took me another 10 years of going through life, and then now it's like come back and like wow, like now I can really see when God actually intervened to help save me, to help heal my heart, but I wasn't willing to listen. So my advice to my 18-year-old self is baby girl, you need to open up you need to open up your heart. You need to be open to this teaching, even if it doesn't make sense. Like, and the thing is, a lot of things in life don't make sense. We're never going to fully comprehend everything, but we need to stay open. Like you really see that in the world when people aren't open to different perspectives or different teachings, we end up creating division between each other. And the whole point of this is like to come back to unity, to come back to love, to come back to peace and create heaven on earth by seeing truly the divinity in everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. I wanted to ask about, I think it was, oh yeah, has there been a turning point in your life where like a huge moment, like a spiritual huge spiritual moment for you where you like it's been something happened and it completely changed who you were? And have you had that as something that happened in the past or happening now?
For my spiritual awakening, or
Yes, you could say that like a point where you it really transformed you on a spiritual level, like a moment or something. Maybe you met someone, maybe you learned something. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, good thing I have the book right next to me. So good. Like this is like the book that changed my
Oh,
Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. I'm sorry if it's backwards.
yeah, I
Um,
can see it. No, it's good.
so wow, that's so divine timing. I literally just picked this up today back from my
Oh,
friend. I lent it to her and literally just picked it back up today. So it
oh
was like,
wow.
okay, it was meant to be. I truly, truly recommend everyone read this. It's like the most down to earth way of perceiving God. Have you read the book?
No, no, I haven't.
Oh, it's so good. Um, I read, so how it came to me was and this is how I truly, truly see the divinity of everyone. So the guy that gave it to me, I was 22. I was, I think I just came home from work, and then there was this guy, like the property that I was living in, he was like doing maintenance. He was just like a regular tradie, right? And we had a conversation, and then we started talking about Abraham Hicks. Are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
I've heard of
awesome.
it. Yeah.
So I was like, how is this guy, this regular tradie, like this, like just a down to earth Aussie bloke, just talking to me about Abraham Hicks? This doesn't make any sense. And this, he was like some dude in his late 40s, right? And we obviously got talking, we went down the rabbit hole of like talking about these spiritual things. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, like, I can't believe, like, obviously, like, I never would have thought that this guy would be
Yeah.
spiritual and understanding God. And so obviously that's like a thing to like never judge a book by its cover because everyone's God.
Yeah.
And he told me to read this book. And I was like, okay, at this point, someone else actually already told me to read this book. And but
Oh,
it was a Christian guy that told me to read it. So
oh.
that's why, because
Yeah.
we're judging a book by its cover, Conversations with God, right? And from a Christian. And I was like, because I had no awareness about Christianity, I was like, there's no way I'm reading this book, right? But because this regular tradie just told me about it, I was like, okay, there's something here for me. So I
Yeah.
listened to the nudge, I read the book, and literally my mind just went like my crown chakra just opened up and just fully like I felt like I just could see reality and the truth of reality. I was like, oh my God, that's when I truly, truly saw and started understanding that everything is God. And everyone is God and everyone we're all just walking each other home. And yeah, so this this started my trajectory on like obviously the spiritual awakening and healing myself. And so I just have yeah, and there's like it's like a full like trilogy and everything.
Oh, trilogy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think there's a fourth book now too, but yeah, it's so simple to read. It's just a dialogue between this God and this regular dude, and it's just yeah, no words. It's just the best.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. That story is just like, yeah, talking to some random guy that you wouldn't even have thought.
Yeah,
And I think yeah, we can do did I have oh, I think that's basically it. Maybe we can finish off with one last question about
yeah.
what advice would you give to entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs?
It's so interesting because and I love that you interview me. I'm like, I'm probably not like a typical entrepreneur.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think just right now with my challenge, I'm actually reclaiming that entrepreneur title because I've created this idea in my mind over the last, 10 years that like there's a specific way to be an entrepreneur and I'm not it.
Yeah.
I am reclaiming that identity. But if I had to give one advice, I would say again that whatever you're building, whatever if it is coming out of ego, you will never actually ever truly feel fulfilled. And you really do have to surrender, listen to His will for you in your life. And that is how you will truly succeed. I think I'll leave it at that. I
Yeah,
hope
that's
that's
great. Really nice. Thank you. And I think, okay, that was the last question, but my last question is how do people find you and how can we contact you? Like what's the best way?
I love this. Okay, so at the moment, just through Instagram at the moment, Soulful of
Yeah.
Summer, just with one L, Soulful,
Yes.
because someone took the double L.
Mhm.
And yeah, just DM me, follow me, connect with me. And obviously, I have some offerings doing these Astro Human Design Gene Key readings or mentorship. Yeah, truly feel called right now to help people come back into alignment with their soul purpose. And I am also fully aware that I think this is just the beginning. I think that I actually have no idea what's going to happen in 6 months' time or a year's time. This could be completely different. So catch me while you can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Summer.
Thank you. You're the best. Thank you, Megan.